Love it.
We're warming this thread up and hoping we have a few people that come and watch. I wanted to, number one, reintroduce myself if it's been a while since you've seen me. My name is Debbie Prediger, and I am the founder of the Empowering You community. It's actually 6 years old. And the Be Extraordinary Women's Network that you see the sign behind me is actually, I think, a year this week that we started that. And we have over 1,000 women in both, well, 1,000 people inside of the Empowering You community that you're in right now. Because men and women, you just have to be heart-centered entrepreneur. And in the Be Extraordinary, it is all about women. And Naomi is somebody that's over there. Well, she's in both, but she is a mentor inside of the Be Extraordinary Women's Network. And she has an event coming up. So I really want to talk to her, introduce you, and then talk to her about the why behind the event. I think it's
Mhm.
always super exciting. So, Naomi, why don't you go ahead and just share with everybody who you are and where you're at?
Yeah, so I'm Naomi Grevemberg, and I am on a mission to help women break free from the suffocating grip of societal expectations that claim our right to live authentically and on our own terms. And this mission started because for years actually, I was playing by these societal rules and conforming to ways of being that just kept me stuck and in survival mode. And it wasn't until I burned out to the degree that it was so painful, I was angry and ashamed, and had this profound awakening that just shook my entire world, a rebirth, so to speak. And during that time, it's when I discovered that I needed to live a different way, a way that doesn't drain me, a way that doesn't steal my joy and doesn't harm my health and well-being. And that's when I decided that I wanted to live in a more intentional, softer way of life. And it turned out to be the most radical act of self-love that I ever did for myself. And for me, that meant tearing down the old rules that just keep us trapped and crafting a more intentional way of living that really nourishes my soul, my well-being, and, leave room for joy and
Mm,
living in the moment, that spaciousness to expand and truly enjoy everyday moments. And since then, I've been on a mission to help women reclaiming their power and also inviting the perfectly messy, beautifully imperfect journey that it means, in womanhood and really celebrating that fierce freedom that comes from our stories and our path and unapologetically owning our truth. So, yeah.
wow. Wow. So if anybody's watching this in the replay, I want for you just to drop in the comments of what resonated from that. Like what parts of it did you see yourself in? And then what parts of it were like, I need to know her more. This is really what this is about when we're here as heart-centered entrepreneurs. I know that each and every one of the people in here, because I've curated a beautiful community and you're here because you have a message and a mission. But
Right.
there's something that happened so that you now believe a specific thing and you want the world to know about it. So I have a
Yeah.
couple of questions for you if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Naomi. And the first question is, so what parts of that old life before you burnt out, before you got to that stage, what parts of that old piece that you now are remembering and intentionally bringing with you into what you're teaching today?
Oh gosh, the parts of that journey that I'm bringing in. There's so much I could say, because those are the lessons, right, that carry us through. I would say the biggest one is realizing that it's a journey and that there's always the old conditionings that try to creep back in. It's just always there, and there's always space to expand and go deeper on that journey. And there's always something new to unfold. And for me, it's always like slowing down enough to recognize, like, okay, like I get to give myself grace on this path, something that I honestly didn't give myself before. Like this year, I came into 2026 with four power virtues: love, joy, compassion, and gratitude, and truly living those virtues in my everyday life. And it's something that I truly didn't realize that I wasn't offering to myself. Like, how could we offer it to others if we're not offering it to ourselves? It's a gift. We can use more love, we can use absolutely more joy in our lives, so much more compassion because we beat ourselves up so much and we don't realize that those are the conditionings, whether it's familial, whether it's cultural, or or something that happened through trauma in your life. Like we beat ourselves up and we deserve compassion, especially as women in this world, the world that actually rewards the opposite of that.
Oh,
And always more gratitude.
amen. That word compassion, I think that most people could relate to it today in a different way than they have in the past. And I
Mm,
think that that's a really beautiful intention for you, a virtual that you're living by, but a permission and an invitation for everybody else to choose it as well.
mhm,
I remember when there was three words that really came clear to me, and it was love, more joy, and more peace. And I
mm.
didn't realize that I could give compassion to everybody else but myself until down that healing journey. And so thank you for reminding all of us and giving us permission to have self-compassion as well as
Thank
world
you.
compassion, right? We often sometimes
Yeah,
see the
I
world
love
and
that.
we want to be compassionate to them, but what about ourselves?
Mhm.
So you're creating an event. I believe it's happening tomorrow. I'd love to hear a little bit of details about the event, and then I'm going to ask you some questions around it.
Yes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this event. It's called The Power of Softness, a sacred gathering for women ready to rise. And this event is designed to fuel your journey toward authentic living. So we'll uncover ways to remove those, like become more aware of the societal expectation and those unconscious rules that hold us captive. And I'm still uncovering so many of those on my journey. Again, it's like always expanding and growing. And I'm really excited about that part of the event. But together, we're going to explore what it truly means to live softly, how to prioritize our well-beings, how to set boundaries with compassion, and how to invite more of that unique, messy, glorious self that gets stuffed down in the noise, the expectations, and the obligations of the world. And with that, we'll have some practical tools that I'm going to be offering, some really fun exercises that we're going to do together as a group, and just bring in more inspiration to rewrite our bold stories and awaken that voice that sometimes get lost in the noise.
Wow, that's super powerful. Like just that alone. So it's tomorrow at what time and for how long?
So it's 90 minutes tomorrow, so Thursday the 15th at 3 p.m. PST.
Nice. Okay, we'll drop the link so anybody can register if they want that
Yeah.
to join that. And is there a replay or they need to come live?
Yes, a replay is available, but I really welcome folks to come live and really connect in that space with other women who are going to be there. It's going to be so beautiful. Just connecting with other women in sacred spaces, it's so valuable, it's so needed, and I welcome everyone to just come on.
Yeah. And thank you for that. We know there's no experience like live, but I would never want somebody to say, "Oh, I can't, so therefore it's out." Like
Yeah.
let's do a plan B there because I
Yeah.
think that what Naomi offers is not only needed, but she comes from it from a lived experience, but a different, unique feel. And so I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about what does soft living mean to you and what's different about that than the way you used to live?
Oh my goodness. That's such a great question. So soft living to me means living on my own terms, living at my own natural rhythm, away from the hustle and the grind that happens in everyday life. There's always something trying to pull you away, trying to distract you. Soft living is bringing it all in and caring for yourself, for your well-being, and not just, the typical self-care. While that is really important, it's going a bit deeper. It's moving away from the pressure to more ease in your life so that you can live a life that is intentional, that is based on your true desires, not everything pulling you in a million different directions. It's the ability to really hone in and ask yourself, what do I want for my life? What is my deepest desire? And what does that look like for me to really craft that journey? Who do I need to be surrounded by in order for me to truly be able to step into this new version of myself where I'm living softer, more intentionally, and more empowered? So that's what that means to me. And how that's different from how I used to live. Honestly, I left New Orleans in 2016. I left my career as an environmental scientist behind to pursue a dream of travel in a van, visiting all the national parks and living in nature. And whilst this was a dream, it wasn't so straightforward. Like it happened because my life in New Orleans was very noisy. I was suffering with really deep anxiety, panic attacks every day because I wasn't living my truth. I was living someone else's idea of what success looks like. And it took a toll on my well-being. And after having the worst panic attack that felt like death in my living room, I decided that something needed to change. So I decided to make a drastic life change, quit my career, and decide to do a 1 year road trip from New Orleans to Alaska. And that 1 year road trip turned into a decade of full-time travel, exploring a different way, a more unconventional and intentional way of living. And while this was such an incredible journey that shifted my perspective and changed my entire life trajectory for the better, I still was living tied to old rules and conditionings that was still controlling my life. They were unconscious. And I didn't realize at the time that I was still living by these old rules. So it doesn't matter if you change your lifestyle, right? You still bring the baggage with you. So this is what happened to me. And eventually I burned out and my entire life just the entire ceiling fell down and I went through this deep transformation that awakened me. And I ended up here. And the difference between how I'm living now and then is that I'm more aware and I am deciding how I want to live. I'm rewriting those old rules into my own rules and living in accordance to my deepest core values. And that's the difference.
Wow, really beautifully explained. And I love that you took us down the journey of what your life was, like even identity shifts, not just where you lived and who you were with and how you were living, but an identity shift from and I know a little bit more about your story deeper. You think there's been many identity shifts if you've moved country and different things. But what is that one thing that if people come to your session tomorrow and are there with you live and play full out and get everything they can from this, what is that one thing that you know they'll take away?
Ooh, that's beautiful. I see this event as a call to action for every woman who's ready to truly reclaim her freedom, her authenticity, and her joy. And tomorrow, I think this will be a stepping stone on the journey to start living large, to stop playing small, and to truly recognize like this is the year of the fire horse. This is the year of change. This is the year of transformation. This is the year of momentum. And not just any momentum. I want women to realize that they can sustain it. They can go after their dreams and still live softly and make impact. I think that there's a skewed understanding about softness being a weakness, but softness is that quiet feminine strength. It's unmatched. And I want women when they leave this event to realize that there is strength in softness and they belong.
So beautiful. Well, thank you for coming on here quickly. I know this wasn't planned, but I really wanted my community to learn, number one, introduce you because you're amazing. And number two, don't miss up on this opportunity. Don't miss out to connect with Naomi, to be in her world, to understand at a deep, deep level of what it really means when people say less is more or soften within. These are
Mm.
terms that she lives. This isn't just something she teaches. So thank you, Naomi, so much for
Thank
being
you so
with
much,
us.
Debbie. Thank you for having me.